streams. Yeah, you probably know him by now. Do you still want to introduce yourself really quick?
Well, hi guys, I'm Emmanuel. I work in Native. Yes, I here every once in a while, mostly talking with Fabian about these like really interesting things that he brings to us every week.
Yes, so like every week, basically, there is another week with tons of interesting things. There's something especially interesting that I will showcase in the end of the stream, so yeah, stay tuned for this. But yeah, for now, let's start with this blog article from Facebook. So Facebook is introducing new AI experiences across their entire platforms. So maybe to understand this better, let's watch this 2-minute video right here.
We built some AIs you can interact with, and then partnered with awesome people to play some of them to make them even more fun. Introducing Meta's AIs, with Tom Brady as Brew, ready to throw you his deep knowledge of sports.
Seriously? How could you not know that?
Naomi Osaka as Tamika, proving it's cool to geek out.
Time for a selfie.
Chris Paul as Perry. He's preaching the gospel of golf.
Drive for show, putt for dough.
Paris Hilton is Amber. She's taking a stylish bite out of crime.
Not to brag, but I am a forensic expert.
Mr. Beast is Zach. This dude's funny. Like, funny.
I'm not saying I know everything.
Israel Adesanya as Louise. He'll make sure you never tap out.
The more you know, the better you can move on the map.
Kendall Jenner as Billy. She'll always have your back.
I'll keep it real, but above all, I'll keep it on the DL.
Roy Choi is Max. Nix that delivery order. You're cooking in tonight.
Chef, what's on the menu today?
Charlie D'Amelio is Coco. Making sure you and your moves aren't sus.
Hey y'all, you ready to dance?
Snoop Dogg is Dungeon Master. Slay the games you love.
Your quest begins now, player.
So, if you're looking to explore your interests, learn a new skill, settle a debate, or just have fun, start using Meta's AIs.
Okay, so yeah, very interesting information in there. Maybe let's go further through this article and we will come back to this in a second. So yes, in addition to this, they are releasing these AI-generated stickers, which I guess is a pretty cool feature to have. Yeah, they look very decent, and I think this is also a very good use case for just image generation in general. Yeah. What else do we have? We have this typical image editing with AI, so you can change the style, change the background, yeah, just things like this. Also to have super cool to have this integrated into all these different platforms. Yeah. And now we are coming back to this assistant right here. So yes, very interesting that they chose to sign all these celebrity deals. I mean, they could have just used Bob the football enthusiast or someone, but no, they chose to get people like Tom Brady and all these celebrities. Very interesting move here. Yeah, what do you think of this? Is this a good idea to do? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could say if it's a good idea. It is for sure very interesting. I'm curious about like, as in they present these personalities of the AI as like these artists as Coco or whatever. Like, if there is like, I don't know, like they collected something, or is it just like an AI that knows about sports and they just like are using like Tom Brady's image, or if there's something really like, I don't know, they gather some information about him, his personality, and then they put that into the AI, so it kind of like has a little bit of himself. I've actually seen before this is a little bit unrelated, but just so you see where I'm going. This like people who have like communities and so on, so they build like an AI bot which is like trained on their personality, just so it takes care of answering all the DMs and all these people. So like, I don't know if they did like something similar here, but it is very interesting that they took this approach of signing all these deals with all these people. Like a pretty fun combination over there. For sure, good for marketing. Like, yes, like for sure. And also, like, I'm not sure like how is this implemented. Like, is it like
I'm sure that this is using the Llama 2 model or some
yes something
similar
over
model
that?
in the
I
background,
agree.
since all this came from Facebook originally. Yeah. Something that is
And the
also very
Mhm,
interesting is
sorry.
actually the type of deal that these celebrities signed with this. Because if I would be the celebrity, I would be very afraid that my model that now runs on Facebook says something violent, basically something wrong, and then I get the
Yeah.
backlash, and you have basically no control over these models anymore. So Facebook must ensure that these models don't output any harmful content, which is a pretty hard task to do with these large language models, because people always find some prompt that then generates a harmful response or something, and we've seen this in the last couple of months. So yeah, this is something very interesting.
Yes, that is true. Like people are very creative when it comes to overriding whatever restrictions they have. But I do think they can manage to protect the images. I guess they have to, like otherwise they're in big problems. But yes, this is super cool. I don't know if it's going to be available like within I don't know the messenger because I saw like it's like a chat, but I don't know exactly where is it like built in or how do you access all these
So
like
they mentioned that
personalities?
they want to roll out all these features to all the different platforms. So I mean, they have Instagram, they have WhatsApp, Facebook. So yeah, I guess we will see this in some way on each platform. Yeah, maybe I'm not
I
sure
mean,
if you are a frequent Snapchat user, but Snapchat introduced this AI companion, I guess you could call it, some time
yeah,
ago.
I don't use it, but I've seen it for sure.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah, also like this concept of having some sort of AI with specific personality. I guess it like we also saw it a while ago. This page, I don't remember the name, but it's like the page that has like all these characters like from movies, shows, video games like Mario and SpongeBob, and you could just talk with them and stuff like that. So maybe it's something similar. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Like I guess it's just like someone with an area expertise and friendly, familiar face to interact with.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, they don't talk about how this is actually built in the background. If this is some fine-tuned Llama model, if they are just prompting Llama to be like Tom Brady or whatever. Yeah, but I'm very curious to learn more about this and hope they will release some research maybe for this field.
Yeah,
But
is there
yes,
any dates for like when is this going to be available, or when are they going to start like rolling it out?
I guess they're just talking about rolling it out over the next couple of weeks.
Hmm.
So yeah, very vague, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that's
Um,
very common with like for example Instagram updates that you just don't get the update for like 2 years after like half the people you know already has it.
mhm, mhm. Yes, I'm also a little bit disappointed that I guess they will only they will not have any acting capabilities, so they are just basically text in, text out, but they will not have capabilities like search the web and things like this. Maybe do
Hmm.
something on your behalf on your Facebook or whatever account. I guess
Yeah,
this
and
is
it's
still very
it
basic.
is it is yes, I agree. Like this is I like I don't want to sound like I'm pessimistic or anything, but yeah, this is nothing like very novel, I would say.
Yeah.
Like we've seen this type of things since like the first wave with language models. First thing like you saw was like these pages, like the one I just mentioned, that it has like characters and you just talk with them. But hey, it is pretty cool. We are seeing a tendency for sure of these big companies to like build in these functionalities within their older services. Like we just talked about Google having it like um, built in like a couple. Well, we talk about several of its use cases. So yeah, it makes sense. Of course, it makes sense. But it is pretty cool to have it there. Like it's gonna change, I guess, a little bit the way we use our social media in this case. Uh, which I'm curious as to like what degree of impact can this actually have.
Yeah, but I'm very excited to test this out when it's rolling out. So yeah, very cool news here. Um, all right, then let's hop over to our next topic. So this project right here basically has released a 7 billion parameter model that outperforms a lot of these different models. So it outperforms Llama 2 the 13 billion parameter version, or all benchmarks, outperforms Llama 1, the 34 billion parameters on many benchmarks, and it approaches code Llama 7B performance on code while remaining good at English tasks. Something that is also very cool to look at here are these statistics right here. So at the bottom, we have this new 7 billion parameter models. Above these are the Llama 2 models and Code Llama. And you can see that, for example, for this MMLU tasks, it really crushes the other models, especially for its size. So here there was the 13 billion parameter model used, and this is only 7 billion parameters. Yeah, and you can just go on with all these benchmarks, and you can see that this really has some very, very good performance for a 7 billion parameter model.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also have to say again, I hate to be this person, but we've seen other models with similar type of like introduction that they were just beating all these other models like in these benchmarks. But at the end of the day, we didn't really see anything coming from them. I can't really remember, but I do know that there's been a couple even mentioned in this stream. There was one about they had the name of an animal, something like a whale or something like that, that it like beat like everyone in specific benchmark and so on. And at the end of the day, I personally never heard anything else about that. But it is pretty cool always to have these like new models, because even though like these language models are like already like well established technology, I would say, to have all of this like new development. Even though we have like giants like GPT, for example, it is very nice to see all these projects coming. Because like we say often in this stream that like this competition, it's very good for the environment, and well to start like the open source models to like allow people to build cool stuff. So yes, it's very, very good. It seems to be very good for its size, like you just said. This MMLU, which is like multi language
Yeah,
understanding, something like that, I think. So yes, it's very interesting.
Also, maybe because you mentioned that basically there are not always basically products that are being created with these large language models, but I think that this model right here could be a very good choice, for example, for some kind of co-pilot-like code completion. Yeah, because this just outperforms all of these other smaller models, especially if you want to run the model on your own machine. Because of its size, you can easily run this on most machines by now. Yeah, and I guess this would be a very good choice if you want that data privacy.
Yeah, that's true. But also something important, it's that like the conveniently Code Llama, that it's the only one that it was not like if it wasn't better than it, it's not in this visualization. So it does give you a, I guess, a slightly biased sense of how good it is, but it is very good. Like, don't take me wrong, it seems to be performing very good. Like, if you compare against Llama 2, which is like the 7 billion, it is like very good. I don't know who's behind the development of this, but they seem to have done a very good job, especially like, it mentions that like it's very good. Well, it's fairly good at these code tasks, and it remains good at English, which seems to be something that I've seen a couple models that struggle like keeping both at the same time. So yes, it's very nice. Maybe they later on will release a larger model or something like that. But pretty nice. Something to keep track of. For sure.
Okay, so this is a little bit special in this format, but yeah, this is basically just, I guess it's somewhat AI related news. So we have this new Tesla robot update, and we can also have a look at this 1-minute video right here. Yeah, because it's also pretty cool, and I guess this also has some huge implications just for the future. Yeah, and I guess this is already like the most interesting part. That's basically this self-correcting of things. And yeah, I guess there will be a lot of new developments within this robotic space. And also we have the ongoing research and development of large language models, AI in general. So yeah, I guess now we're just waiting for the point where all of this kind of gets combined into some very powerful autonomous robots that then could do all sorts of tasks from cleaning to working, all kinds of jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, both technologies are already out there. I mean, we've been seeing robots like this for a while already. Things like Boston Dynamics, which has like these amazing robots, or even Sophia, which is, I guess, something like the most closer thing to a language model that it's already been there. I don't know how long, but yes, like the technology is there. So yes, we're at the point that some day someone is gonna decide to uh, spend some time combining these two. Maybe like language models are a good option for this decision making, and it could like give a fair amount of autonomy to these robots. So I think soon we're gonna be like in the movies that you have this like assistant and they just like do things, and it's like basically a human several codes.
Yeah. All right. So let's jump over to this next headline right here. And this is something very interesting because Spotify is going to clone podcasters' voices and translate them to other languages. And this will happen in a partnership with OpenAI. And there are a lot of really interesting points to this. So we have seen in the last stream that basically OpenAI has released this new update to their ChatGPT mobile application where you can basically have a real conversation with the GPT model. So you have voice input and then also some voice synthesis, and you get this voice output. Now they are basically going one more step ahead and start, because last stream I showcased that they basically had 5 or 6 set voices that you can use within the app. But now they are also going over into the space of just voice cloning in general, which is pretty interesting because we have not heard anything like this from OpenAI directly. Yeah, but now we have these news that basically they want to translate entire podcasts with the original voice, which is a pretty interesting thing. So right here we have this Lex Friedman podcast, and I guess this is translated to Spanish. Yes. So yeah, let's have a quick listen.
Proporcionando una perspectiva diferente a la de mi reciente conversación con Benjamin Netanyahu. Este es el podcast de Lex Friedman. Para apoyarlo, consulten a nuestros patrocinadores en la descripción. Y ahora, queridos amigos, aquí está Yuval Noah Harari. Hace 13,800.
Okay, so yeah, you can definitely hear that the voice cloning works well.
Yeah, I as a Spanish speaker can judge that. It does sound very, very slightly. I wouldn't say robotic because it doesn't sound robotic at all, but it does have this very like synthetic feeling in the tone. I wouldn't know how to describe it. Like it's very well done. It does feel like if you tell me that's a person, I would be maybe like, But if you tell me again, like, no, it is a person, I would believe you. So I guess that's the best way I can explain this. But yeah, it seems to work very well. At least I personally understood what it was going on. So I guess it's easier for me to judge in this case.
I guess it's way better listening to this than just not listening or understanding at all. So yeah, I think that's really awesome. Yeah, and if we look at the technical details right here, so we know that Whisper has something or has been a product of OpenAI for a long time. It's also open source. So yeah, the transcription part is, I guess, the easy part here. But then this synthesizing of a voice is really the new part that we have not seen from OpenAI. And I wonder if they're moving into this territory. Yeah, and if we will see voice cloning capabilities on their platform or via API soon. I guess 11 Labs is very scared by now. Yeah, and from what we can hear here, that this works really well. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I'm just curious as to what implications does this have. Like, do the artists or authors need to give some sort of permissions? Because also, like, this is going to be an expensive operation. People
Yes.
who works with, for example, 11 Labs, they know that like you for sure do not have an unlimited amount for like the type of subscriptions you get.
Mhm.
And I guess like if I'm not mistaken, in 11 Labs, like the largest subscription, it's like 40 hours maybe, and after that it goes to the enterprise level. Of course, we're talking like Spotify. This is something big, but we're talking of hours and hours and hours of content.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, I'm just curious as to like how is this whole ordeal going to work out? Because of course it's gonna cost money. Of course it's gonna bring more money because you're expanding the audience of all these artists. But you know, there's always some financial implications. So I'm just curious towards that. I don't know. I don't think this article comments on that at all, but just something to throw out there
Yeah, right
to
here
think
they
about.
say that it's only being tested with a selected group of podcasters for now. So yeah, not everyone will have access to this,
Hmm.
but I think it's very likely that basically everyone will get access to this sooner or later. Yeah, and this is something very
Yeah.
interesting because I personally, I'm not sure if I would listen to a podcast on the original language or then to a language that I can speak or understand better. It's a very interesting thing to consider.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, but for you in this case, you have the option to choose. But for example, let's say I want to hear it to a podcast. I have like a Japanese friend who tells me there's this really good
Hmm.
podcast
Hmm.
in Japan, and it's about this, and I just want to hear it. I just can't because I don't speak Japanese, and
Yes.
this would be like an alternative. Also, I see this being applied not just in podcasts, but like YouTubers and
Hmm.
whatnot in
Hmm.
social media because you have them. Actually, we just saw Mr. Beast here in the Meta AIs. If I'm not mistaken, he has like several channels, and
Yes.
he like hires people to like dub him in all these like different languages. If I'm talking about Japan, I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that he got the person who makes the voice of Naruto to dub him in Japanese. So my point here is that maybe something like this is going to be like the alternative to that in a near future.
Yeah. Yeah. So super cool to see all this AI basically now powering huge parts of these applications, you could say. So things like
Yes.
Spotify. Yeah.
Yes,
Um,
is what I was mentioning earlier that we're seeing all these big companies leaning towards this built-in AI functionalities, I guess.
mhm, mhm. Okay, so just by the way, for everyone who's watching, can find all of these links in the description or on our LabLab Discord server. All right, let's hop over to this next thing, which is Hugging Face Space. And this is coming directly from Shopify. So this is really the original Shopify account right here on Hugging Face. And something that you can do right here is basically you just input the product image, then you generate a prompt, and then you can just change the background image for this particular product right here. And I guess this is just super useful for people that have a Shopify store, which takes some basic photos of their product, but then you don't want the same background on each product, but you don't want to buy or go to different backgrounds. So yeah, I guess this is just a super useful tool for all Shopify store owners. Yeah, to just generate really good looking and professional backgrounds and product images.
Yeah, I found interesting that Shopify went out of the way to put this out there.
Mhm.
Because I mean, options there are like we've seen like tons of tools that maybe not exactly this, but you could achieve this. And you know how creative people is. I'm sure somebody like found something that does this. But the fact that Shopify, because of course, like people who use Shopify, for those who don't know, like Shopify is this platform that allows you to have an e-commerce. So you're often in the need to having these pictures that Fabian was just describing. Yeah, seems pretty interesting to me. So let's see how this works.
Also pretty interesting that we are seeing this as a Hugging Face space and not integrated into their own platform for some kind of premium plan. So
I guess the development it's a bit expensive, so
yeah. So yeah, very cool to see this. I tested this before the stream, and that definitely takes some time to generate. So let's hop over to our last very exciting topic and maybe come back to this. I hope it will not fail. But yeah, let's jump over to this one right here.
yes, I've also seen this. Very cool stuff.
This is a couple of days old, but still very, very interesting. So it's called ChatDev. And yeah, like you can see right here, basically it's communicative agents for software development. And we have seen in a couple of different projects that this conversational interaction between agents can lead to some really good quality and results. So yeah, what they have done right here, I guess this picture describes it's the best. So you basically have this company, if you can call it, and you are the CEO in the middle right here. And you just basically started with a simple prompt. So I will show you an example in a moment, but I basically just prompted it with the example to code this very simple API. And what then happens is actually this goes out to these department managers, I guess you can call them. So this right here is basically the coding manager. And so this goes out to the coding manager. And then he creates some subtasks for all of these different coders right here. And this is just the general coding department. Then if something is done, it goes to the testing department. There the code is tested. If it's not working, it goes back to the coding department. Then we also have this designing department, which is also pretty interesting to see. And we also have the documentation department. Yes, and so each department has multiple agents. And of course, all of these departments have different roles. So yeah, each department is also only covering one specific topic within the process of creating the software that you want. So yes, they have really detailed instructions, and the overall quality of this project is very nice. It's very good documented. Yeah, very good install instructions right here. So I basically just loaded this up. Right here, let's see if I can make this any bigger. Yes. Okay, so what I did right here. So this was my prompt. So I basically just inputted basic fast API, and fast API is just a framework for Python APIs. And this ran, and you could see that it really generated a lot of things. And maybe I can show you the results first. So we have this main.py file, and this is not a lot, but it's working and it's fine for what I prompted. So yeah, we have all these different imports. We create a fast API. We then mount this directory. We mount this template thing, and then we have just one route where we then return our HTML file. Yeah. Right here, we also have the HTML file, just really basic things. Yes. And we also have the CSS file, but we don't have any CSS for now, but the file was still created. And basically, after this entire project is done, we get these infos right here. So the cost for generating this was 5 cents. We have 2 files. That's interesting because we have 3. Then something that is also very interesting is here these tokens used. Or we have prompt tokens and completion tokens. So overall tokens are 17,000 tokens, and the duration for generating this was 82 seconds. I mean, this is a really basic thing, but I guess there's a lot of kind of boilerplate around all these prompts to then actually get to the outputs that you want. Yeah, so we can also, something very cool that they implemented is this visualizer right here. So you can really, if you start this generation right here, you can follow it in real time in this visualizer. We can also make this a little bit bigger. So there are basically all these different things going on here. I guess this visualization is not perfect, but yeah, you can see basically always what the system is doing, then what kind of assistance you have. And now it starts with the CEO. So we also have this kind of system prompt at the beginning. Yeah, some more explanations. And then we go on with basically then two people talk to each other. So we have the chief product officer is talking to the chief executive officer. And here's a new customer task, basic fast API. And now this goes on. So the chief product officer, yeah, basically has its own thoughts. And something very interesting here is that all these LLM calls are generated at the same time. And there's just a really, yeah, there's a lot going on in the background to actually make this happen. So yeah, here we see that there's some more stuff going on. The CTO has some more thoughts, but maybe a better way to visualize this is through this replay website right here. So what you can do after you finish generating a project, you can download this this fast API or whatever your project is called .log file, and then you can open this page right here, and then you basically just input your log file, and then you can click replay, and now you can see this real-time, I guess, replay of your project. And you can see on the left here who's actually thinking or who's talking. So right there we had the CEO talking. Now I guess this is the chief technology officer down here in the coding department. Yeah, now basically the programmer's talking and he writes some code. So right here we can already see that this looks like fast API code. Yeah, and then it just goes back and forth, running the code, see that something went wrong, making changes to the code, sending it back to the testing department. Okay, it's fine now. At the end, it goes to the documenting department. Yeah, and after all that is done, we get our final output, and we can find our files directly right here in our repository, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, and this just has so many applications for the future of software development, or maybe how companies run in general. So this is very, very exciting stuff, and I guess maybe just yeah, maybe this is like a small view into the future of how things will operate then.
Here we have some questions. Will there be a bot? Sorry, missed the start. I'm not sure what it means. Yes,
I
go
know
ahead.
what it means. So this is, I guess, just a recording of the stream, and yes, you will find the
Okay.
VOD on Twitch and on YouTube in a few moments or in a few minutes after the stream has ended, basically.
Sorry. And the second one is, does this have second guessing and self-analysis, or is it just one pipeline? I guess this is about this ChatDev. What do you think?
Yes, so it definitely has second guessing. So if the coding department comes up with something and thinks, okay, this is correct and this works, then this entire file gets sent to the testing department, and there it's basically second guessed, yeah, and checked out. It's also run to see if this actually runs. And yeah, if it runs, then it's fine. Then it goes over to the documenting department. But yes, we definitely have this second guessing going on. And yeah, it's also a very good thing that we have this, because we know that large language model makes mistakes and it can also fix its own mistakes. So yeah, definitely something very cool to have.
Yeah, this is very cool. I've seen it not so long ago, actually. So yes, I was excited to try it out. I mean, I'm always curious as to see how far can things go. But yes, definitely. Like, it also seems to be pretty diligent. I'd say this because I don't know. Actually, can you scroll a little bit up in this replay? You just went through it. Oh, okay, no.
It's kind of going crazy, but yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. Don't worry, because it creates the CSS file, right? When there's no need of it, but it knows it has to be done. So I'm curious as like during the whole process, like what like or the way these subtasks are created, because of things like this. I don't know. This just piques my curiosity, and I just saw it not so long ago when I told you to. But if you don't find it, like, it's all right. But yes, it made me curious as to like in which part of the mental process do you create of something that should be there maybe, but it's not really necessary for what this was done. So yes, that's what I meant when it says it seems to be pretty diligent and also pretty cool in general that they made this whole replay stuff. It gives you a good understanding. Of course, like I thought for a second that the characters would move and go talk with another, but yeah, no, that was too much expectation on my side. This is pretty cool, and yes, for sure, everybody out there should give it a try, even if you're not like super familiar with how all of this it works. It has good documentation, right, Fabian? So
Yes.
it's always a good thing for people who's not very familiar. So you can just read documentation, set it up, and give it a try. For sure, you're gonna have some fun. I guess this you give an API key and then
Yes.
somewhere define the model that you're calling, and it works based on that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I think this is super cool. I hope to actually see some kind of framework built around this in the future. Imagine like you can create one of these departments with one line of Python code, and then you add basically one or two, let's say, coders to this department, also with just one line of code. And then you can basically create an entire company with various skill sets really easily. Yeah, and then work on these huge projects basically while you sleep or do something else. Maybe just drop some information here and there, guide something into the right direction. So yeah, this is very interesting. Something that I could also being very useful here is if these other departments have some kind of access to, let's say, other AI models. So let's say like image generation, um, sound generation, music generation, just things like this. Web browsing, this is also something that is not included here. Human input is also not really included. So yeah, if we could get all of these things built into one framework, we can then build these kinds of entire companies. I think it would be super powerful and interesting to see, yeah, where you can go with this.
Now that you mentioned this, we have another question that I think that goes along the lines of what you just said, which says like, isn't this technically one model self-interacting through various PTs? Isn't there some way to abstract and generalize this further? A little bit of what you just mentioned. But yes, like as of now, this is one model. I wouldn't say self-interacting. Well, yes, I guess you could say it like that. But yes, like sending responses and then like reanalyzing these responses, and there is of course a whole framework behind it because I guess there has to be like a whole like series of like structures, the way the pipeline goes, and the way the prompts are like designed to work with. But it is just one model indeed. So, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one model. It would be really nice to actually see multiple models in here. Also with various capabilities. The interesting thing here is that all of these technologies currently exist. You just need to kind of merge them all together into this one framework or whatever this will be in the end. So yes, this is something very interesting. Basically, it would be very cool to have some kind of department that could interact with various APIs. So for example, you can also send out an email to a real human. Just things like this. Yeah, what else is there? You could browse GitHub, run Python code. So this is something that they already do right here. They can actually execute the code and see if something is not working. Yeah, but yeah, basically all of these technologies, or I'm not even sure how to call this, these
tools, maybe.
Yeah, they all exist currently. So yeah, now it's just time to merge all this together into something very similar like this, maybe even more extensive. Yeah, and more features. Yeah, then.
Yes, we have another comment of the same person that says you could also do other systemic tasks with these, like thought processes, self-reflections, TOT planning, etc. Which is yes, what you're saying. we
Yeah.
do have like lots of tools around this.
Mhm.
Maybe they don't all implement the same at the same time. I also don't think that's the optimal way to go, just because it's doable. Like maybe you don't get like something meaningful out of just putting everything together. But yes, of course, you can like add more things to the framework. But I think so far, like this framework and other things, other tools that we've also seen over time, seem to be pretty cool when it comes to this concept of pipelining processes. And like I guess people don't well, not everybody of course, but there's people that don't realize like how important could be the prompt or the prompts that you're using in the whole process. Because I've heard people saying like, you generated that through AI, and then it's like, okay, yes, but could you have done it? And the answer is no, because it I think it all comes to the way you use the technology, because it is one language model at the end of the day. And for sure this could be like generalized into further like more powerful applications, like you were saying, that implementing like multi-models and so on. But it is pretty important the way you use it, and I think this is very, very useful for like a lot of use cases, for example.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if this in the future will actually kind of replace entire corporations, or if it will replace, for example, a marketing department within an organization. So that's very interesting to see.
I mean, I doubt it would be in the near future. I'm sure that like these technologies can do perfectly certain tasks that you could like completely replace a specific like range of jobs, I guess maybe. But I don't think we're anywhere near to the fact that it could replace a whole department. Maybe like let's take the example of marketing. In marketing, it's a very like making decisions type of roles, and in general, like any management, I would say, or any there's lots of things going back to marketing where you have to make a lot of choices. And even though these language models do have the ability to like see some context if you give it to them and make some choices based on them, I don't think it can replace this like the value of the human like reading like the emotional like of like that, I don't know, like repercussions that something could have and so on, which could lead an AI to like not be able to see these and make some mistakes, like which I think would be like very like often the case. But we do are for sure in the stage where like if you like it's like supervised development. I could have an AI do like everything I wanted under my supervision. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Yeah.
what you said, that it would be really good if this had like some human um like interaction in the middle. I think we saw some tools before that you could like in the middle give some feedback before it went through the whole process, rather than waiting it for the whole thing, maybe not it being correct and then going back to it and doing it again. Um, but yes, we have more comments that the same person. Yes, the human context, it's very important. It's one of the things that I think I tried to say when I meant I don't think it could replace a whole department. And what happens if you ask it to develop itself? Well, that's a very good question. So you could give it a try and let us know maybe in the next stream what did you find out.
Indeed, yes, that would be very interesting. There's some sirens outside. I hope that's fine. But yeah, I mean, imagine if this basically has, or yeah, if this gets web browsing capabilities, it can find its own repo and then make some changes or make improvements to itself. Then it will get really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could always find something out there that you could add to this type of frameworks and make it like a little bit more powerful. But I think that's an endless task, because there's always going to be something that you could add and make it like better. And this type of development takes time and money, of course.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, for
yes,
sure.
it pretty cool stuff.
So
Yeah, it
here,
opens the doors to see what people come up with. What you were saying, that maybe adding like web search and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and here's just some more examples of what was built with this. So we have this music player, currency converter, image editor. Yeah, you can see that all these are kind of basic. But yeah, I guess we will only see improvements here with also more capable large language models, more capable systems around these large language models. Like the viewer mentioned, you can still use like chain of thought, tree of thought things. Yeah, just
we have another comment that says that it would be awesome to see these multiple agents, especially the ones responsible for testing, engaging us by giving us a review in form of a demo. Yes, would be very nice to have this like human input in the middle. So again, you don't have to go through the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I guess that's it for today. So let's wrap it up. If you're interested in this, you can find the GitHub repo. It's called ChatDev. You can also find all of these links in the description. Yes, so very interesting stuff today. If you are interested in these technologies, make sure to check out lablab.ai. We run really awesome hackathons where you can find a team, learn a lot of stuff, and then build really awesome and cool projects. So yeah, we have all of these different events here coming up. The AutoGPT hackathon, Open Interpreter hackathon, Build Your AI Startup hackathon. So yes, very exciting things.
The GPT starts today, so we have the kickoff in an hour or so, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, so
guys,
make sure to enroll.
check it out.
All right, I guess that's it for today. We had some really interesting things. Make sure to subscribe for our next upcoming stream, which is on next Tuesday. So yeah, thank you to everyone who's watching. Thank you to Emmanuel. And yeah, have a great rest of the day, everyone. Bye-bye.